Go ahead and call this meeting to order with the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chad, can you please do the roll call?
Supervisor Weiss.
Here.
Supervisor Becker.
Here.
Chairman Schaller.
Here.
Supervisor Bromer.
Here.
Supervisor Wolfert.
Here. First item on the agenda will be citizens' concerns. Anyone here wishes to address the town board? And I suggest a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion by Bruce and a second by Lee. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Who wants to start?
If you could please, before we speak, anybody that wants to speak, please state your name and address for the record.
Go ahead, Barbara.
Okay, Barbara Ball, 104 Goddard Place, Front Island, of course. I'm here because I have repeatedly called and asked for, last August, they regraded our road. From here, it goes out like this way and then straight down into the river. Here's my daughter's driveway. When they made that road, they left it for about a month, maybe more, just graded, nothing there, just dirt. And we had that huge rainfall, caused 6 inch, however 6 inches is, deep ruts on each side of the road. And all that dirt and stuff washed down into the lower part of the road there that goes off into my daughter's property. When they went to fix it, they never put not one load of dirt in that road. It was regraded to about 6 inches lower than it was before. Her driveway, when it comes out, we've been there, I think my dad put that house up in 1974, 64, something like that. So that driveway has been there. It's well packed, well graded. It was just really good. When they went to fill those ruts, they regraded, and then what they didn't have dirt for, they took their, and I watched them do it, and the chairman saw what happened. They took their, front loader, I believe, and slammed down on the driveway and dragged her crushed rock out of her driveway about, 2 yards maybe of her driveway to make it even with the road that they regraded. Now I called Mr. Becker a number of times. At first I talked with the people who were doing the road, and I said, you're not regrading that. She's got to get out and up that hill. You can't grade it that way. You've got to put dirt in. No, we're going to do it this way. So they did. They finished it, and now she's got the back half of her driveway is gone. It's because they used it to fill in parts of the ruts, okay? And I called Mr. Becker last year, and I said, before it snows, you've got to put something in there to keep, so to make it easier to get out. And if you can see it, this is the road to the river, and it goes straight down like this. Her driveway comes out this way. So they have to come out, make a very sharp turn, and then come back up, and I mean straight up. All right? If there's anything on the road, it's very dangerous because they slip and slide until they can get going up that. So I said that road has to be, or that back part of her driveway has to be filled in. And I talked to the chairman, and he said what they could do was get, I don't remember what it was, some kind of
Recycled blacktop.
yeah, that they could put in there. That's all they needed to do. And Mr. Becker kept saying, I don't have time. I don't have time. So that was left the way it is since last August. And I'm here to complain about it and to say that I want the board to do something about it. That they should have never taken her driveway. They should have never done that. That has to be theft, illegal, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But it needs to be fixed. And I don't know, I guess I'm here because, Mr. Becker, did you say they're gonna regrade that road?
They're gonna re-blacktop it from where it just starts to go downhill there because they didn't get the right pitch on it. So Matthew's gonna come back in, it's not done.
Okay.
And I never told you I didn't have time.
Yeah, you did.
No. So,
Yeah, you did. You said I have other
Anyway.
things that are more important.
No.
And you said that more than once. I don't care. I don't want to argue about it. That's what you told me. You can say you didn't. It's my word against your word, so I don't care. The point is, that's got to be fixed.
And
If they're going to come down and regrade that, that would be the perfect time to do that. So when you say they're going to regrade it, are they making it higher?
they're gonna come back in and redo the blacktop because the way it's tapered to go downhill there, it wasn't to what the engineers wanted. So Gerke's gonna come back in there and they're gonna take out the blacktop from where it goes downhill like that and reshape it. We were
So it's
down
going
there.
to be reshaped to what? To what?
So I guess where the blacktop was down, right now it's angled more towards that one trailer to the left. They're
Okay.
gonna pitch it so it isn't gonna run towards that trailer. They're gonna pitch it so it goes down the road and goes down to the water.
Okay. When you say trailer, there's no trailer down there.
Well,
My
the
daughter's
place on
house-
the left, as you're going
Yeah.
down the hill, it's the place on the left.
The house, okay.
Yeah,
That's because her house, yes.
Okay, so they're gonna change that, and we're gonna be going around with them here within the next few weeks with the engineer and a representative from Gerke, and that's, of course, one on the list that, because they had the plans, and Matthew didn't do it the way the engineers laid it out, so they're gonna come back and they're gonna redo it, so at that time, this should be taken care of.
Then they can take care of her driveway at the same. Now, I don't think that's them. Well, they took it. They're the one that took it out. Mr. Chairman saw how they dropped that front loader down and scraped it backwards. He saw what they did. So they will fill it in. What they need is to make it so it's nice with the road, that the two
Level
intersect.
with it, so it
Yeah,
matches,
so
right.
it intersects really
Right.
good. Okay.
And that's what their plan is.
That's what their
So,
plan is.
there's a number of other things that we're gonna go around. We got what they call a punch list, things that we aren't happy with or they're gonna have to redo, and of course, that's one of them. So this spring, it's on the agenda to take care of all these problems that we got.
Because winter's over, so it's not gonna,
No.
one of her guests kind of punched a hole in their muffler because when they tried to get out, the plow, the snow plow, had plowed the snow in such a way that it made a really hard lump. And, him trying to get out, and that didn't make anybody happy. But that's what I wanted to know, if that's what they're going to do with it,
They're gonna be coming back, right?
and redoing it. Okay.
Right.
And you figure spring sometime?
Yep, as soon as our engineer can line up a time with a representative from Gerke, why us three are gonna get together and go over the whole project, so.
Okay, that sounds really good.
I can't give you an exact date, but it will be, I would guess, within the next month that we'll be around.
Just as long as it's before next winter.
Oh, yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to bring up, because I see here, you're gonna place a sign at Caroline Street and Dorn. When they get that intersection over there locked up, all those cars that are coming this way, probably from the Crescent, are going to probably come down Bainbridge Street. And I'm just kind of bringing it up because I think it's going to be on the corner of Bainbridge and Goddard Place, Goddard Street.
Right.
On that's a very busy intersection. And we have had accidents there before. And when the cars come, the cars go like this, the other cars, they don't slow up to see if anybody's turning or coming out. They go around and go zoop right next to them like that. And I think the town might have to do something with that intersection for at least the time that it's blocked off there. So.
Yeah, and I'll have a chat with the chief and have him give it extra attention, see what his recommendation would be for traffic.
Yeah, because I think it's going to be a problem for anyone trying to get out onto Bainbridge from Goddard Place, or from the places. I think it's going to be hard to get out, so just wanted to mention that too. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Who's next? Go ahead.
All right, hello, my name is Christopher Donahue. I am from 921 Plainview Road. I'm here to talk about what has happened to our Gaga Ball pit. If you are unfamiliar with what Gaga Ball is, it is essentially Israeli dodgeball, is how some describe it. It's in an octagonal pit, which is just made out of wood, and you play with a ball and you bend down and hit it with your hands, and if the ball knocks into your legs, you're out. And that's how the game goes, and it's become really popular since 2015. As a Boy Scout, it is very popular up at the Boy Scout camp where I work, and it's one of the most popular things that all of the kids do when they are there. And it's not only become extremely popular in Boy Scout and Girl Scout camps, it's become popular in college campuses and all over the world. So in November 2015, our Boy Scout troop constructed a Gaga Ball pit near the Lacrosse Community Center, French Island Community Center on Plainview Road, near the old basketball court and the fire department hose. And when we were consulting and planning what we were going to do, we came to the board and asked Supervisor Weiss where we could build and if this would be possible. And he said yes, and he specifically designated that spot would be good. So we bought all of the materials ourselves, which was $250, and we came and we built it. And we made sure that it would be safe. All of the boards were set up. None of them were spiky or had splinters or anything. They were all good treated boards that would last a long time, and all of the hinges were galvanized so they wouldn't rust or anything. And we all had a lot of fun, and it was right next to, we have our meetings at the community center, so that it was really convenient, so we could just go right down there. And it was also a really great spot because there was a light. So then we weren't as worried about people vandalizing it or whatever, breaking it, because there was a light and there's a lot of traffic that goes right by there, and there are a lot of people that live right there, and we thought, well, this is a good spot. And we just had a lot of fun. So then, fast forward to just a few days ago, we had a meeting with our crew, which is a co-ed 14 to 20-year-old group that's through Boy Scouts, but it's co-ed, so both boys and girls, and we just get together and do fun adventuring things. And we were having our meeting, and we were waiting for a few extra people to show up. So we were like, well, let's go play Gaga Ball. Unfortunately, when we walked over to where the Gaga Ball pit was, it was gone, with no explanation. So we asked around, and eventually we found out that it was the town of Campbell's doing, that it was no longer there. So then we came and asked why. And first of all, why hadn't we been contacted? Because we put all of our money and our time into this, and it was our building, and we had not been contacted for why it was being taken away. And we received multiple stories, one of which was that it was a safety hazard, questionably, and that it was no longer safe to be used. And we had no recollection of any safety issues. I've seen more people get hurt doing many other things, and Gaga Ball is not one of them. And the pit is in no way a danger, or I guess was, because we called and the chairman told us that our fears had been confirmed, that it was not only taken away, that it was completely destroyed and thrown away. We come here to ask today to either be reimbursed for our property or to be given the materials to rebuild it, because we had all of the permission, we had all the things that we would need to build on it, and it was a perfect place for us, and it was taken away without our knowledge or without any warning.
Thank you, Chris. I'm gonna turn it over to Lee.
So, yes, I did give you guys the permission to put that in there. And it had been in there for 2 winters. The maintenance department, Supervisor Becker and myself went around to all of the buildings and all of the parks to make sure that to kind of do a checklist of what things needed to be taken care of. When we got to the warming house, which is where you guys had that, we went and inspected it and found out that the plywood that was there was it may have been treated lumber, but it was still degrading. So you could go up to it and you could start peeling the layers away. So that was my first thought, that it may not be necessarily safe. Then if you looked on the bolts that were holding it together, they were sticking out about this far. So we have pictures of them, that the bolts are sticking out about that far. Mind you, when I went and checked on it before, I completely missed the fact that the bolts were hanging out that far. So in the safety of the other individuals and the kids that are in the neighborhood, because of the wood and because of the bolts, it was my decision to have the maintenance department remove the structure. And it was my mistake for not getting a hold of you and letting you know that was the reason. And I completely owe you an apology. And it didn't cross. It completely went out of my mind to get a hold of you guys. My job is to make sure that the parks are being used and it's safe for everybody. And it was my determination, as well as the maintenance department staff's determination, that because of the degradation of the boards as well as the bolts that were hanging out of there, that it was either no longer or hadn't been safe for it to be in one of the town's parks. So there is the explanation as to why it was removed. As for what I feel the town owes, I apologize that you took the time and you spent all that money on that. But under the understanding, when you guys put it up, that it was the town, or more specifically my responsibility to make sure that it was safe. So when you guys put it up, I said it was our purview to move or remove these structures because they are on town parks. So I personally don't feel like that we owe money to give it back, because it was on a town park and it was for all intents and purposes used for public. So it was handed over to the town. As you know, this will be my last meeting, so I mean, you could work with the new supervisor on that. But as of right now, I personally don't feel like the town should owe anything back because of the degradation of the structure, and I don't feel like it was really being taken care of the way that it should have been.
Go ahead.
Lee Donahue, 921 Plainview. I do have some photographs, and I'd be happy to pass these around. Specifically, in regard to the bolts, you can see in this picture here that the bolts stuck out from the side of the plywood about this far. You don't play on the outside of the structure, you play on the inside of the structure. So the fact that they were sticking out could have been considered perhaps by some that it was a safety hazard, but that's not within the play area. The other thing is that when I initially talked to Supervisor Weiss, and when we discussed where it was going to be put up and how it was going to be done, I did ask that the scouts be notified if there were ever any issues with it, because we are an organization that is into our community service, and we've invested a lot in French Island, many areas from Summit Elementary School to the fire structure that's built for training, and many Eagle projects that are here. If you've ever used the steps that go down to the spillway, as many people walk their dogs every day, we have a huge investment in our community. And we would want to make certain that anything that we do is structurally sound and is safe. And we would want to replace anything that was not safe. And if we had been contacted, my family lives about 10 doors down from where the Gaga structure was. So we're right on Plainview. We walk our dog by it every other day. We have meetings at least once a week with the troop and then with the crew as well. We constantly walk by it to make sure that it is in good repair. And again, if there was a concern of a board or a bolt or the entire structure, if we had been contacted, we could have mitigated any concerns. If it was replacing boards, grinding bolts, whatever the case would have been, we just felt that we weren't given the opportunity
to do any of that.
Thank you, Lee. Next, anybody? Go ahead.
Yeah, Pete Winkler, 537 Hinkley Road. Every year at the annual meeting, each of the supervisors writes up a report. Do we have to sit and listen to them read that report, or the public are intelligent enough to read the report and ask questions if they have any?
Do you want to answer that, Chad?
I don't chill about it.
My suggestion would be that, because it is the annual meeting, that anybody can make a motion during that time frame, that at the beginning of the meeting, if a motion wants to be made to skip the reading of the reports, and it passes, then yes, I believe that we could bypass the actual physical readings of the report through the motion, through the constituents. Pete came to me the other day and asked me the same question, so.
All right. Anything else, Pete?
That's only really like that.
Oh,
right
yeah.
now.
So get that motion ready, Pete, for Monday. Or Tuesday, next Tuesday. Next Tuesday.
Under your motion.
I'm sure he probably already has it written down.
Just go ahead then. Little guy in the back.
Andrew Schindler, 822 Miller Place. The town hall helps the scouts rebuild the Gaga ball pit.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm a Girl Scout. My name is Juicy Schindler. We're across Wisconsin. And I like the Gaga pit because it's fun and like everyone can play it.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm Keaton Wood and I'm from La Crosse, and all of us kids love Gaga Ball Pit. And who doesn't care if the wood's peeling? Even though we can still have fun.
Thank you. Anybody? Next? Anybody? Go ahead, Bob.
Wolfert 904 Susan Place. So the question I about the pit, so I'm pretty new to that. As far as the concern went with the pit being there, that part's still all okay? Is that if they put another one back in, or?
The location of it should be probably moved if they were going to put anything else back up. Again, when they work with Kelsey, if they decide to put one back up, it should be moved, and it should be probably away from those trees in the event that one of the trees does come down. There are a couple dead ones that are right there that may or may not be on town property. So to try to mitigate possible injuries or structural damage, they should probably move it somewhere away from those trees.
There's plenty of room on that park, right? Is that blacktop even in there anymore?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
I don't know how well you'd want to play on blacktop.
No, I'm not saying you want to play on blacktop.
Kneecaps would not work out on that.
Yeah. Just wondered if it was removed, if that was all still there or not.
Go ahead.
I'm Tim Donahue, 921 Plainview Road, and I'm the Scoutmaster of Troop 15. And I just want to speak on behalf of the boys and the girls that are here tonight that we're greatly disappointed that we were not given the opportunity to fix this. My name is on the fire department calendar right down in the corner. My wife comes in here all the time to do scout things. We are a part of this community. Last year, 2,468 hours were performed in volunteer service by the scouts and the boys and girls that are a part of the crew. So we do so much for this community, and we're disappointed that I wasn't given the courtesy of a call to say, we're taking it down. I wasn't given the courtesy to take your hinges off there so you can retrieve that value. Repair the boards, do something. Nothing. We show up on a Sunday and it's destroyed. And so my question, I guess, or comment is, what is our recourse? Sorry you're out. Boys are out. Money that they raised, the money that they spent time helping out in the ice fishing derby, going door to door selling you popcorn. spending, pardon me, yeah, collecting tons of food that we put in the Summit School pantry and the middle school pantry that the boys go door to door on scouting for food. There's no recourse for our boys for this. What's our explanation to them? Sorry, kids. That's my question to the board and to the supervisor. What do we tell them? Why were we not contacted when we were the ones who, so to speak, bought the property and placed the property in the location we were given permission to place it?
And again, my explanation to why they weren't contacted was I made the mistake and completely forgot to get a hold of them. It wasn't something that we were necessarily able to wait on getting to have the structure removed. It was something that needed to be removed, and it needed to be removed fairly quickly. And so
Sorry. There's 8 pieces of plywood.
It treated them
Treated
like that.
plywood.
It does not go apart.
And if it was,
I went over there and I was
and
able
we
to
could
peel it
have
apart.
replaced it, cut the top part off that had been having problems, put a cap on the top. There could have been many things that we could have done rather than losing the boys' $250 investment in the pit that we were given permission to place where it was.
If I may say something really quick here. If you ever played Goggleball, there's not a, and I'm sure many of you haven't, but it's a real great time. But there was, I don't think anyone was in immediate danger, and I don't think that it was, because yes, they may have been falling apart and the bolts may have been sticking out, but like you said, it had probably been like that for a while, and it had been used pretty well, and no one had ever gotten hurt anywhere near it, let alone within the times where it had been in poor enough condition to destroy it.
Thank you. Go ahead, Bart.
I don't know if I'm supposed to talk right now or not, but our kids have very little to do. So many kids are getting into trouble. A lot of problems. How much did you say it was? 200 and what?
$250 now.
I really have to say that I don't mind if part of my taxes goes to build them another one, because I think it's a good thing. The scouts are a good thing. And if you look around this island and all the trouble that these kids could be getting into, instead they're playing gaga ball. I think the town should replace it for them. My opinion.
Thank you very much. Anybody else want to speak? No? Anybody else? I guess then, can I get a motion to call the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Bruce and a second by Mitch. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's go down to the consent agenda. Items A through C. If there's no action taken on the consent agenda, can I get a motion?
Got a quick question about Bill here. Mitch, we paid, what, 50% down for our project out there, and then
25% down.
25, and then there was another 50%.
Another 50% when they delivered the steel and
Okay,
started the project.
So, what do we got left to spend on here then?
About 15,000.
15?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? I guess, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Lee and a second by Bob. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's move down to business 5A. Roger and Denise Rowley, 1357 Nokomis, request for an annual shoreline burning permit. Go ahead.
Yes, just a general request for a burning permit. Yep.
All right.
These, well, I'll fill you in a little bit here. So the town board last couple of years has gone away with burning permits due to some fairly large burns that have happened over the years. So what the board has done, and Bob's been around for this, has allowed for shoreland burning for all the debris that comes up through the winter and things. It's a one-time annual burn permit. They still come in here, get a burn application, and then they have to call dispatch and the fire department when they so choose to go do that. I don't know if Bob wants to add anything to it at all, but
Nope, you covered it pretty well, Chad. The one thing that is always a point of sensitivity is neighbors and which way the wind's blowing. I'm sure you're well familiar with it, so other than that, yep, I think coordinating through all potentially affected parties is always an effort, but fire department.
yeah, it's always one of those things too. You just have to kind of plan a little bit. The permits are good for 5 days. Windy conditions are obviously not a good time to do it, and you do have to adhere to the county burn ban. So when there is a county burn ban out there, we don't have the authority to issue one.
Anybody else? I talked to Nate Melvin, he said he didn't have a problem with it, so. Can I get a motion then?
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Bob and second by Mitch. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move down to 5D, Jerry King, 1209 the Crescent Street, request for an annual shoreline burning permit.
I don't know if Jerry ever showed
I
up.
don't see Jerry, so I guess. Anybody got any questions? No?
I'll make a motion that we approve it.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Mitch and a second by Bruce. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move down to 5C, award for bid for lift stations 7 and 8 to Mr. Wolford.
Thank you, Chairman. So we have, if you guys have just kind of a breakdown sheet, this is really, we're getting to the end of our lift station upgrades, 7 and 8, happening this year. We have the bids that are broken out there from the opening, which was a couple weeks ago. And Sean Welty's here from Davie, which thank you, Sean, if we have any technical questions. But typical practice here, we'd see Winona Mechanical as the low bid or the, I guess, potential award recipient at this point. We've worked with them in the past. They've done great work for us. We've had no issues, and I guess I open it up for any questions and then approval to go ahead with that project. So,
Sean, is there any start date that you know of, or?
Not at the moment.
I suppose we have to wait till they get the bid, huh?
Well, then the equipment also takes about 10 to 14 weeks roughly to get.
So yeah, it's a good question, Bruce. So we go through the award process, then the contracts are issued, and then the equipment is purchased, and all of that schedule starts to come together. So, and we do have that. That is kind of pre-timelined already in the project. So, with expectations and milestones for that. So.
Any other questions? Can I get a motion then?
Make a motion that we approve Winona Mechanical for the lift station upgrades for number 7 and 8.
You want to put the amount in there?
For station 7,
Read that total. The total.
You could just go this
2005, 144, so $205,144 for that bid. And $399,040 for the total project, $193 and change for the other lift station.
So,
I guess I'll second that. Any further discussion? I have a motion by Mitch and a second by Terry. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move down to 5D. Approval of temporary weed retailer's license for French Island Lions Club for April 22nd, 2017 at the community center. Take that, Chad.
Yep, just again, one of their many annual Saturday fish boils, April 22nd, I think. Is this the last one?
This is the last one for the spring until, they do 5. September and October will be the next 2.
September and October.
I make a motion that we approve.
I have a motion by Mitch and a second by Bob. Any further discussion?
Drew, same question I ask every time. They didn't have any issues today.
Never any issues.
Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move down to 5E, approval for rock in the docks at Huck's on the River, Marina Drive on Saturday, August 5th, 2017. Mr. Chad?
Well, every year we've had Huck Finns has put on rock in the docks for the town. For how many years has it been now?
This will be the ninth.
The 9th year. So as usual, they're back asking for approval for the festivities, which go along with the outdoor bands. I thought normally we don't have any questions for her, but I thought it's a good idea for her to come, since be the first time if she doesn't come, then you'd have a whole bunch of questions. So
I got a question. 900,000? You guys been running that close? I mean, for your goal?
For our annual campaign goal.
Oh, okay. I was like, whew.
Yes, so annually
good.
we want to raise
Okay.
$900,000 to support our financial assistance program, so this is one event that
Okay.
raises money toward that goal. Yeah.
I was at time trying to take credit for a whole bunch of fundraising and everything.
So this event does
It is
very
good.
well.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
support
it's a good one.
people.
I've
Yeah.
been to it.
And if you could just fill in, who does this support?
Who does
Yeah, just so everybody knows.
Oh, sure. Many people don't know, I think that the Y has financial assistance for anyone who is struggling financially and can't afford the full membership rate or program rate. We have 24,000 members between our 2 branches, and 1 in 4 receive assistance for their membership or program fees. And we're only able to do that by donations to the YMCA and by events that we have that raise funds to support that program.
So without further ado, move to approve the Rock on the Docks.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Bob and a second by Bruce. Any further discussion?
Drew, same question.
Only my second year. It's an extremely well-run event. They provide security at their cost. What Ryan Security did last year, did a fantastic job. We are loaded for bear. We always plan for that weekend, so we have plenty of personnel. Absolutely no issues with that.
And the music is usually done by 11:45.
Yep.
Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Move down to 5F, approval of change of agent for Twin City Lodging LLC, Sky Harbor Drive from David Cassell to Adam
Oh,
Crow.
yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So as we're all aware, Days Hotel has changed ownership a few months ago. David Cassell was staying on as acting agent for the liquor license until they were able to find a replacement. They did put through, or they did request the change of agent to this Adam Crowell, who we did do, turned over to the police department for background checks and things like that nature. As far as we can tell, there is nothing that would prohibit Mr. Crowell from becoming the acting agent of the Days Hotel's liquor license.
Drew, you got no problems. We haven't had any issues there. At Heroes, alcohol license.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve change agent for Twin Cities Lodging LLC from David Cassell to Adam Crowell.
Second.
Crowell.
I have a motion by Lee and a second by Bob. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move down to 5G, discussion and possible action regarding ash trees on town right-of-way. Lee?
So that was mine. Since now that it's spring, I've gotten a number of calls about the ash trees that are on the right of way. We all already know what our potential issue is with ash trees. As of right now, I know there are a lot, but I've only gotten phone calls for at least a dozen trees. So I would like to get how the rest of the board feels about how we want to handle ash trees, if we want to just remove them as needed, or if we want to remove them all on the right-of-ways. How much are we wanting to spend on this? Because this is not going to be a cheap venture. Are we going to replace them? How are we going to replace them? My personal feeling, I want to stay away from putting trees back on the right-of-ways for future municipal projects. But I would also like to do 2 to 1. So if we remove one tree, I would like to replace it with 2. If that means putting it into a park or asking if the homeowner would put that tree in their yard off of the right-of-way, that'd be something we could work out with them. But I just want to get how the rest of the board feels about the ash tree situation. I have gone to the trees in question, and they do obviously have woodpecker holes, and that's the first sign of one of the first signs of infestation.
Are any of them hollowed out yet, Lee? Are there bad ones?
There's a couple of them that are getting real close to that.
We should address those immediately, then take them down.
I know of a property that has 4 of them alone, right on the right-of-ways. I think what we should really do is have maintenance staff drive around to those locations or go on the map and verify that they're actually on the right-of-ways. And then maybe this next year or this year try to fund a study of all the trees on the right-of-ways to see how many we have and how bad the situation currently is. Or any of the town properties.
The majority of the ash trees are on the south end? Or are they all kind of all over?
They're all over the place.
Okay.
Didn't make very good decisions when we back in the day when they replanted those.
Yeah, the plan is, you just told them you'll never have any problems, but well, I cut 8 of them down.
So this is just more informational or more getting how the board feels about where we want to go with these ash trees. I know we should remove the ones that are in question or the ones that are bad, but how do we want to proceed with others on the right-of-ways?
I think the state, the DNR recommendation, I think anyways, to get rid of them to begin with, or right? And stop that, just to keep kind of address it. So,
but if we go do it based on like La Crosse is doing, they're going neighborhood by neighborhood, yeah.
Well, I'm saying I agree with that. I think it's a good idea. Maybe just make it an action item and have to review, like you said, do an assessment.
Yeah, and then maybe put bids out to see how much it would cost to have these trees removed, stumped, and then eventually, maybe the next year we can put some money in the budget to replace those trees.
So yeah, if we have to
earmark a bunch for that.
Yeah, that's typically. If we have to do it this year, we just have to see what we have budget and maybe move some. Especially if it becomes a concern of failure, we just have to move the budget money.
Yeah, my biggest fear would end up being that there's a storm or that something happens with these trees and something gets hurt that it wouldn't want to have, or property gets damaged from one of our trees. I'm not looking for a motion. I'm just looking to see how everybody feels about it.
Yeah, it should be an action item for this year, I guess, anyway.
Should we just table it then, Chad? Or keep it going?
Whatever the board wants to do at this point.
Discussion right now?
I think it's just discussion right now. I mean, it would be up to the next supervisor to bring it back up eventually if she feels that she wants to take monies out of her budget.
I mean, it may be, you could consider it to be part of streets and roads too, really, right away. I mean,
we just don't want them in the right away, so when we got utility work, why?
The right of ways have been traditionally taken care of by the Parks and Recreation budget.
See, my expertise on that though is again the budgetary aspect of it, and where do you get it from? So
right. That's what it comes down to.
And do you hire somebody to conduct a study first and find out?
Well, my
which
personal feeling is get rid of the ones that we've gotten calls on, and then have somebody come in for a study and see how bad the situation is and how much it could potentially cost us.
You don't feel that onesie, twosieing them down is just going to create more people to call in, and you'll never get a study done. You'll just cut them down as the calls come in.
It's a Boy Scout chainsaw project, sounds like to me.
If I may comment, we're not allowed to use power tools.
Well, that's going to make a real
Handsaw is going to be a
That's
long
why
day, that's all I got to say. Okay.
I guess we'll move on then, and then go down to 5H, discussion and possible action regarding purchasing new office furniture. Take that, Chad?
Yep. So, in light of all the new stuff that is going around, I thought that maybe I could entertain a notion for some upgraded looks in the town office as well. There are a couple different options that I did get from proposal-wise. The option on the front, I think, would suit best in the office. Part of what I feel that we have is we have a real confined space in there with the current furniture that's there. It makes the room look small. It's not real easy to maneuver in and around. It's not real easy for the girls up at the counter to get through the counter. And we don't have a lot of walk space. I get that everyone's kind of limited in space, but what this would do is shrink the desks a little bit, utilize the space a little bit better, give more walk space in the office area at what I feel is a pretty minimum price. Now the price on here doesn't include not disposal, but we would sell the current furniture that we have. It is still in really good shape. Now I have no idea what we could get for it. My guess would be somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500 towards this bill. So I'm just kind of hoping that the board can support some new looks. You know, we're already talking about getting new countertop, some protective glass up in front. So this will kind of go with the whole scheme of just kind of a whole new modern looking office.
Did we budget for it this year?
It has not been budgeted for this
You
year.
knew that question was coming from me.
I did, but I have room in my budget.
I've talked to Chad about it. I think there is room in the budget, and I've also talked to him about future projects, including, if you look on this diagram here where the desks currently are, the room that's if you're facing the window to the right there, eventually converting that into a conference room, putting a wall up there, and putting a door on, so they will have a conference room. It'd be better use of the space. So we've kind of gone over some of these ideas. The reconfiguration of the furniture would go along with that too, because once there's a wall there, those desks would have to be reversed anyway, and they're not going to work, the current ones we have, because they exit that way right now to wait on people. So keeping that in mind, I guess I think there is money in the budget to do it at this point.
Eventually, my long-term project would be to, again, get kind of a conference room, because I do need a place that we can bring in vendors and things that is not the boardroom, since we don't have any other space for that, and cutting down that wall where my current office is and opening that space up and making it a larger space.
And really the space that's there right now, for the most part, is unused, so this would be a good reallocation of that space to turn it into a conference room. It would give him the opportunity to have some privacy when he needs it to, because his office is rather small, so if he needed to speak with someone in private, he could do so. So again, that's a future plan I've looked at in my assessment of the town hall, trying to work with the space we've got without adding on to the building.
I always said that room should probably have another egress through the second door, if we do put that window in there. We got one door to come in and out. Bringing up the code, it should have two doors.
I don't know if it would be required by code, but that's something we could look at, I guess.
So the amount here, the 4,000, this is just furniture. It's not any of that rework you're talking about.
No, that would be a future plan that I would be looking for.
The furniture purchase and reconfig would then be able to be used additionally, or you plan to use that again if you do office remodel?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I got you.
And again, some of those costs again would be recouped by the selling of the current furniture that we currently have. Again, I don't have an entire price on it, but it is in great condition.
Well, I'm going to defer to Mitch Bromer on this whole thing here.
Well, I think in looking at the budget, we do have the money for it, and I'm going to make a motion to approve it with the future plan, obviously, of creating that conference room in there as well, too. So, but that'll be a budgetary item that we'll have to deal with next year or the following year. So,
I'll second it. Second that, I should say.
We have a motion by Mitch and a second by Bob. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries. Move down to 5I. Discussion possible action regarding creating a town Facebook page.
This was actually introduced, well, we've thought about it before, but it was reintroduced to us by our current incoming supervisor about possibly taking on that project of creating a Facebook page to maybe help get to the public events that the town has going on. I'm not real in tune to Facebook myself, but I know that it's a big part of social media nowadays. And I believe that we can reach more people with certain things. Maybe our incoming supervisor, Kelsey, can maybe fill us in, but she has offered to take on the role of creating the Facebook page, and I would assume that Cassie or whoever in the office would be more than willing to, if she can't maintain it, I'm sure we can maintain those sites, but I thought it would be a good idea to ask the board if it's okay if we create a Facebook page. I know the police department had just got one not too long ago, and my understanding is it's been a great tool for you guys.
Might have been one of the best decisions we made. It has been remarkably positive. We can get information out instantly to thousands of people. It's been a phenomenal resource for us. And the key would be to maintain it. My guys do it, I don't touch it. My two younger officers do it and maintain it almost on a daily basis, and it's been a really positive thing.
I don't see a problem with it.
No, I mean,
I'll make a motion to go ahead with it.
that's all second that. I have a motion by Bruce, second by Terry. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries. Move down to 5J. Appointment of Planning and Zoning Commission member. I'll take that, I guess. I guess we're short one member, and I had a little discussion with Mitch and Chad, and there was a gentleman that wanted to be on our planning and zoning. His name is El Maha, and so I went over and talked to him, and he said he'd be proud to serve on the board. So, anybody got any questions?
That's the only one that we have applied?
Yeah, pretty much.
and Al had expressed interest before when we had a vacancy as well, but he wasn't selected at that time.
So this is your discretion, so
Yeah.
I'm all in.
Yeah, I'm in. I'll just make a motion on it anyway. And,
Okay.
somebody else want to make a motion?
I'll move to approve the choice by the chair. The choice by the chair to fill the open position on the Planning and Zoning Commission.
It's a 3-year term, expires April 30th, 2020.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. I have a motion by Bob and a second by Mitch. Any further discussion? I'll call motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move down to 5K. Recommendation to increase several forfeiture bond amounts for ordinance violations held over from last month. Go ahead, Drew.
I've been looking at this for the last few months. You should have gotten the updated spreadsheet. What I did is I went through and I did a kind of a review of our current town ordinances, ones that we frequently enforce, And I noticed that on some of them, they were kind of low. At least in my professional opinion, things that are quality of life issues. When you have someone damaging someone else's property, somebody obstructing your fighting with a police officer, someone in possession of marijuana. I know that nationally there's a discussion about marijuana and where it's going. We currently have an ordinance against it. But my opinion is, as long as it's illegal, if you get caught with it, it should hurt a little bit. There should be a little bit of a deterrent. So I went through, and what the spreadsheet shows is, because we just recodified the entire ordinance book, it's got the old code, the new code. Anywhere where you see ADS, that's just adopting state statute. There isn't necessarily a code, we've just adopted the state statute for it. The violation itself, on the left-hand side, the current forfeiture and bond. The difference between the forfeiture and bond are court costs. So essentially, under the forfeiture line, that's what the town would receive. That's the portion of the fine the town would receive. And the difference between the bond and the forfeiture are just our court and processing costs. And then on the right-hand side, highlighted in yellow, would be my recommendations. Now, not all of them went up. I did actually recommend that a few of them went down. Primarily all of the liquor violations, anything dealing with alcohol. I just standardized and made it one standard fine so that it was consistent and easy to remember. So really at this point, I guess I'm just looking for the board to review it, to see what you think. Certainly this can be broken up. This isn't like an all or nothing package deal. I mean, if there are certain ordinances that you think should be increased and some that shouldn't, then we can kind of cherry pick like that. I'm not saying that this has got to all pass together. And then on the bottom, a couple of other things that I had talked about last meeting, looking at a trespass parking violation. So if somebody is parked on someone's private property, we have the authority to write a ticket. I know in the city of La Crosse, it's a $50 ticket. So again, if someone is parked in Olivet's parking lot and they leave their car, what I've called us right now, the only recourse is to tow that vehicle at their expense. It'd be nice to be able to hold the registered owner accountable and issue a ticket for trespass parking. Part of this, one of the things that I deal with on a regular basis now in the spring and summer and fall are complaints of the boat ramps. Now, I absolutely don't, I don't sympathize with people who violate the boat ramp ordinance. It's pretty clear that if you use the boat ramp and you don't have an annual permit, you should buy a daily pass. But the biggest complaint I get isn't that they received a ticket, it's that the ticket is $35. So part of my recommendation in this whole kind of overall package would be to reduce the boat ramp fine from 35 to 20. Make it a little more palatable. Again, most people say, hey, I don't have a problem paying the ticket, I screwed up, but wow, $35, ouch. And then as part of this as well would be then, which is next on the agenda, would be to get the approval for my police reserves to actually do some parking enforcement, so we can bring them in on holidays and on weekends and actually have them go out and do parking enforcement. So again, I don't necessarily I'm not looking for action necessarily maybe tonight, but something that the board can review moving forward. And again, we can kind of break this down and talk about this, but that's my recommendation. That's kind of where I was at. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Drew, that trespass parking, would that also relate to like people up to the community center that are parking there?
Anybody that's, well, the community center, how is that? Is that private property or town property?
Well, it'd be town property.
If you sign it, there's the other issue.
Okay.
If you sign it, community center parking only,
Yep.
then it would apply.
Okay.
Same thing with town hall parking. I've always recommended that the town hall put signs up that say town hall business only.
Mm-hmm.
That prevents someone from parking their car over here while they go on vacation for 3 weeks. Right now, there's nothing we can do about it because it's public property.
Right.
But if you sign it, I'm a big sign guy. Sign it and I can enforce it. So, but yes, that's. And the other thing, Bruce, is if people, like I said, people parking all over that church, we get complaints about that, or if somebody's bold enough to park in your driveway. I'm rocking the docks actually that comes up. Sometimes people park everywhere. It'd be nice to be able to hang a $50 ticket on them and at least hold them accountable for it.
Sure. So what you're saying is you want this done before rocking the docks. And of course, I'm going to not agree with lowering the fine for the boat ramp.
Now, me and Chip were talking, and great minds think alike. He actually had a phenomenal idea. I thought it was a really good idea. Maintain the $35 fine, but if you get the ticket and you pay the $35 fine, we give you a $15 annual permit. Essentially making the fine $20 and then you get your annual permit. Because that's what I tell people, is you come in and you pay $15 and you can do it all year. So
I would agree to that.
I think that's a really good idea. That would kind of soften that blow a little too.
I would agree to that,
Yeah.
but you're going to have to work with somebody else for that one.
Yeah. I would agree with that too, because I wasn't in favor of lowering it just because of all the problems we've had with people, not paying or putting the wrong amount of money in and
Or no
wrong
money
license
at all.
number, no money at all kinds
People
of
work
things.
hard trying to get around that.
That $3, then they do, just so.
So this has been an ongoing conversation. I may have talked to you a little bit about it, and maybe changing that whole thing after talking with Fish and Wildlife and Corps of Engineers to really just a parking permit, and just get away because there's many violations where people will launch and they go park off on the street and do trespass parking, and it's just it was a great first shot. Reduce the amount of influx from La Crosse, but now maybe improve it.
So I'm open to anything. Again, I'm a simple guy.
I think it all fits though. I think it all fits into that.
I like the idea of the 35 and we give them the 15 permit.
$15 parking permit.
Yeah.
But anyway, yep.
So again, just for discussion.
Okay.
So was that the rationale behind lowering it from 35 to 20?
That wasn't his rationale at the point, no.
No, that was my just
So they could come in with $35,
Random
give you
number.
20 and have the...
He's the one that came up with that, so I should give him all the credit.
I told Chairman about it first, so that's Terry.
I'm not taking credit for any of that.
So no action required at this point in time.
Correct.
Okay.
Just appreciate the consideration.
Okay.
Should we bring it up next month again then? Is that
Hold it over.
hold it over till next
Yeah.
month? Yeah.
Everybody
That'll give everybody time to study them and look at them and have questions.
I don't know, at this time, I don't see any problem with just passing. What about you? Lee?
Really,
You wanna?
I don't. I mean,
Well, him and I had nothing to think about. If you're going to table it, we're going to put it up for next month, so...
I don't know.
well, we could vote on it now if you want.
I don't have no problem.
I don't have a problem with the changes.
I don't have a problem with the police reserves going around as well. I mean, if they're game for it and they can do it, then I don't understand why we don't currently already allow them to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted them to do it as far as 2 years ago, just because of the boat launch violations. There were so many of them. So
Chad, how would we word that motion though?
we'd have to be changed to ordinances, right? I mean, we'd have to add an ordinance for trespass parking, and then ordinance authorizing the police reserves. So we'd have
We have the ordinance already on the agenda. It's item M for the police reserve thing.
Yeah.
The trespassing parking thing, yes, we would have to create an ordinance for that. The forfeiture fine amounts, I believe that's just on a schedule that we can just approve the changes to a schedule.
Okay.
Just kind of like our fee schedule, just basically a change or amendment to the current schedule that he's got.
It's in line with the current fee schedule. It just bumps it up to a higher level. So.
Yeah.
Other question about that: if we were to go along with that plan for the boat launch, what happens if the person decides that my buddy doesn't have one, so I'm just going to go down there and get another $35 fine, and then end up getting two of them. They're going to end up paying a lot more for it, but there's still ways to get other free ones if you've already gotten one. If you pay $35, get your pass, what stops that person from not posting it and then going and getting another one?
Another $35 ticket?
Another $35 ticket.
Yeah.
It's been my experience in all the years that I've been parking in the city of La Crosse that there is no infallible way to get around this thing. If they want it,
They'll figure out a
really
way.
creative if they want to beat the system. And when you have an honor system like that, like we're using, like the city uses, it's really, really hard to beat it. So
just put a credit card system down there and just.
I would think with the police reserves going to do more patrolling down there, you're going to see an increase in possible fines and revenue coming in from those fines and the sale of the
Every
boat.
weekend and every holiday, have the reserves up again, so it'll get substantially more coverage than we have.
And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's not about giving the fines, it's getting people to adhere to, just come in and buy a ticket for $15.
Right.
Free for veterans, right?
If you're an island resident. Your first one is anyways.
Yep.
It's good training for the reserves.
Well, then I'll make a motion that we increase the bond amounts for the listed offenses, that we approve creating a trespass ordinance, and that we amend the fine for the boat launch from 35 to 20 and include in it the annual boat launch fee parking.
Keep it at 30.
Keep it at 30.
Right, keep it at 35, but allow them to apply 15 to that toward the annual boat launch.
So your motion
Pass.
is the 35, keep it at 35. and
Correct.
make it a pass, okay.
Yeah.
So it's a pass, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Mitch and a second by Lee. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move down to 5L.
I think we already took care of that, didn't we?
Thank you.
No, not
Not
yet.
the parking.
Jerry, you were approved.
Oh,
Yeah, Jerry.
You were approved, Jerry, just so you know. For your.
I want to make a statement of the public,
Oh, okay. Okay.
Authorization for members of Town of Campbell Police Reserve to issue municipal parking tickets.
I kept it on there because it was held over from last month, although I believe that the creation of the ordinance will also take care of that, but I guess might as well have two motions, I suppose.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Town of Campbell Police Reserves to issue municipal parking tickets.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Lee and a second by Bruce. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move down to 5M, ordinance number 2017-1, creating Chapter 2, Articles 4, Section 2-109 regarding enforcement officers and citations for parking-related matters. Go ahead, Drew.
I think this is kind of
Repeat of
kind of right. You guys did that, right?
Move to adopt ordinance 2017-1, creating Chapter 2, Article 4, Section 2-109.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion by Bob and a second by Mitch. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We move down to 5M, disposal of town property. You want to take that, Drew, again?
Yeah, you have a list in front of you. It's a list of items that I we've accumulated over the years.
I never got it.
You never got one? I said you did.
Didn't come through.
It's old printers, it's old TV monitors, old keyboards, old stuff. They kind of sort of surface through the remodel and
that's my stuff.
other projects. Stuff that I no longer have use for or that no longer even works.
He had a new list,
I'm just
a bigger
asking for
list.
the board's permission to dispose of it. As I understand it, our new IT provider, CR Solutions, is having a recycle day in May, where they're allowing us to take all that stuff down and they will recycle it at no cost. Otherwise, it costs us to get rid of it. So, if approved, I will just plan on getting that stuff out of here next month. And it's all in my garage if anybody wants to inspect it. But
I'll make a motion to approve because it's basically junk and it's
Out with the old.
out with the old and with the new.
I just want to make one. So on top of the stuff that Drew, just update me with the new list.
I will get you the
Yes. So the town also had a few items here. I don't know if you had a chance to look on that. And then I would request that, again, because the new office furniture being approved, contingent on that, the old office furniture selling that, and we'll definitely put that on the surplus or wherever. We'll get some pictures or something like that. So this does include couple old cash registers. We got a whole bunch of old cell phones that we're having. A couple old video cassette recorders.
What are those?
Yeah, I know exactly. Computer monitors, a couple old ad-in machines that don't work, a very old postage machine, to the metal desk out there, old time clock, old telephone, and an old typewriter for the office. Now, obviously, if anybody is interested in any of those items before I dispose of them, let me know. The desks are actually in really good shape. They're just some of the old metal industrial strength desks. So they're actually sitting right out between the two doors there. If anybody's interested, you can take a look.
Are you going to amend your?
Yes, I'm actually going to withdraw my motion and start a new one. Motion to dispose of the property the police department has listed and the property that the town clerk has listed for disposal.
Second.
Well, motion by Mitch and a second by Lee. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have a 5-0 placement of stop signs at Caroline and Dorn Street. Bruce?
Yeah, I had some calls and some complaints about cars speeding down by Wardwell Park, and so I thought the best way to take care of that would be putting up stop signs on each side of Dorn Street there. One's coming downhill, and like I say, the problem is by the park there, the kids playing, why we don't want anybody getting hit. So
Which street are they speeding on, Caroline or Dorn?
Caroline.
Caroline,
Yeah.
okay.
Coming down the hill to the south there. And
Okay.
so I just brought it to the board that I would recommend that we put up a couple of stop signs there, kind of like we've done in other areas where we got traffic that's going a little fast. So we got any.
That would stop traffic on Caroline on both sides of Dorn.
On
Caroline.
both sides of Dorn, yeah.
It would break that up.
Are there any stop signs in Dorn currently?
Pardon me?
Are there any stop signs on Dorn currently?
No.
No, those are open intersections right now. No control.
So
What's the? Is there any reason why you wouldn't put a yield? Only because I don't know.
well, I think one thing coming down that hill, I think it'd be better to get them to stop and yield. And again, it's by a park, so God forbid.
Being that the speeding's on Caroline Street, that would be the most appropriate place for them. Otherwise, I would say put them on Dorn because Caroline is kind of a through street, but the speeding's on that street, that's what we need to address. So I don't have a problem putting up the stop signs there, do you, Bob? No.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to put up the 2 stop signs there on Caroline Street, across the Dorn.
I'll second that. I have a motion by Bruce and second by Terry. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll move down to replacement of asphalt with concrete in town yard waste site.
Yes, this is a discussion issue, but it's something we're going to have to address. The asphalt out in that lot is in really bad shape. When Steve's moving salt, sand, and other things around, some of the surface is being ripped up, and at some point we're going to have to replace it probably in the very near future. So the question is, do we want to do it as a budgetary item for next year? Do we want to take out a short-term loan now to pay off early next year? Do we want to tap into the reserve fund? But at some point, this really needs to be addressed, and we have to put that loop in there anyway. So it would be the time to do it now if we could, but looking for input on the board from it. You see the bids are roughly $50,000 to concrete the entire lot, and that's actually cheaper than a combination of concrete and asphalt. So
I think in that usage out there, we should have concrete with the heavy traffic. We got
Yeah.
loaded trucks, the unloader. I mean, concrete's the only thing that's going to hold up.
yeah, concrete is going to hold up. Asphalt will not. If we put asphalt back in there, we're going to have the same problem a few years down the road. But the question is, how do we want to pay for it?
You know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I know. It's a budgetary item. I understand that. But how do we want to? Do we want to put it in the levy, or do we want to take out a short-term loan for repayment?
I think a short-term loan would be the way to go myself.
I think a short-term loan has less impact on the levy, and it frees us up so that we're not so tight on the budget because it's tight enough as it is. So.
But we also have to think about the other side of taking out that short-term loan as well at the expense of the taxpayers.
Right. But it's going to have to be done anyway.
I think it has to be done this year myself.
That's my own feeling on it, but if we can't resolve it now, then it'll have to be a budget item for.
That loop that has to be put in this year
Yeah.
for our new fence and gate out there. I mean, with that gate being closed, we got to have that loop on the other side, and that's the only way we're going to be able to do it.
Yeah. But that's really crumbling out there if you've gone out and looked at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing left.
I would say that it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I would really want to see what options we have about retooling budget money, offset as much as we can. It sounds like such an awesome exercise to hold over for the new board members.
Well, yeah, it's nothing that we're probably going to decide tonight because we don't have firm bids yet from anybody.
Okay.
But
you're just looking to get the approval to do it with.
Well, and the board's feeling on it because it is an item we're going to have to address. It's a need, not a want. And I believe in addressing needs well before wants. So, but anyway, we'll hold that over for future discussion.
Yeah. Can I get a motion to hold it over then?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Mitch and a second by Bob. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move down to 5Q, new furnace for town maintenance garage.
Yeah, this needs to be addressed. The current one, the heat exchanger was giving them problems last winter. It's leaking CO2 into the building in small amounts. So irregardless, the furnace has to be replaced. Now the question is, we've retooled the front half of that building so it can be heated on both sides. Do we want to spend the money and just replace what we have, or do we want to put a furnace in and heat both sides now in one swoop?
I think that's the way to go about it because they need room to work possibly on more than one thing, and it might be a holdover where it has to stay inside. So to work on, I think it's time to go forward with it. That shop has been neglected for many years.
That has been a big problem.
It's time to upgrade it and take care of the people out there.
And if you look at it, the cost to replace the current system and just heat the front quarter is $2,300, $2,295. And to install a new system that will heat the both sides, the duct work, the electrical work, chimney, etc., $7,298.
Buy a lot of bib overalls for $7,200. I'm just kidding, Steve.
But it is a health hazard.
Yeah.
It has to be addressed.
It leads down the chimney. I was out there talking to those guys.
If there ever was a need, there's one.
That's a real need. And so then the question is, do we have enough money in the budget to repurpose current funding?
So that project.
Well, being early in the year, yes, we can definitely repurpose and move some funds around to do something like that if the board decides. But
what does it do to the project as we have it proposed right now?
The project that's proposed right now is just the building.
Yep.
So they're just doing the work on the building now. This was added on because of problems that they were having with the furnace that weren't available to us when we budgeted last year. I mean, this problem came up over the winter with the heat exchanger. So and that furnace is 18, 19 years old, so it's at its life expectancy.
So would this be another one where we take a look at what we have in there before? So if you're looking for a idea or input of which way to go with the new furnace, I think you've got the pricing for both.
This is just one bid. Yeah. This isn't a multiple. This was just to get an idea.
See what the differential is between the two.
Right.
Because I think there's potential different options for how it would actually be installed as well.
Right.
from one contract.
Horizontal furnace, yeah, there's all different kinds of options that would be available. But this
Okay.
gives us a pricing idea anyway.
So if you're looking just for the go ahead to investigate what that is, what those options are,
Yeah.
I move to approve the I guess the activity or the the investigation or the pricing exercise. That's a better way to put it.
Okay.
The exercise of a furnace replacement
Okay.
for both sides instead of just the one.
All right.
Basically solicit bids for.
Solicit bids for a new heating system for the maintenance shop.
Which would include 2 furnaces. Okay.
Well, it'll be one furnace that can heat both sides.
Is it big enough?
Oh, it's going to be 2 furnaces? Okay, okay. I wasn't sure on that bid, so yeah, well, whatever it needs. Yeah.
When we talked about that, so you're you're looking at more like a zone type thing instead of shutting the vents off?
No zone thing, no.
No.
He recommended against that for the contamination.
Okay.
Back here, if you're working on.
Exhaust.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2 separate, not the single
One
one?
isn't big enough to do either.
One single furnace is
The
a
biggest
big.
furnace you can get, and what we're doing is like 120,000 BTU, and we need, it takes 100,000 just to do the one shop right now. The other one is 50% larger.
Yeah, the other shop's bigger on the other side.
So these are 2 bids then. So basically, what I'm looking is almost 10,000 for both furnaces.
Well, I think it's install cost for 72, isn't it?
It says provide one
Oh,
unit.
existing shop, okay.
You ever thought about going with radiant heat then? Checking that?
We discussed those options, but again, radiant heat might be a little difficult in that shop with as much as the doors are open and closed in there all the time during the day. But again, we would leave it to the heating experts. I mean, they're going to have to be the ones to look at, what would be right for the building.
Yes, I mean, this is pretty much what Terry recommended for heat sources, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
How do you feel about radiant?
Well, I say,
I don't like getting it out to water department. Man, I think you get up this side of the floor, depending on your ceiling there, because man, we had ice on the floor. I mean, this to me would be more efficient. And, you guys gotta
So,
work out there too,
but-
working on equipment apart, like it's gotta be more.
And
strike my earlier motion,
Okay.
and I will move to approve the solicitation of heating solutions for both garages. So whatever they can come up with, more kind of like a request for information and pricing.
Okay, I'll second that motion.
I have a motion by Bob and a second by Mitch. Any further discussion?
I think I will even go on with this one, even though it's a non-budgeted item, considering it's a health hazard that the equipment is breaking down and that we have leakage back in. So I'll vote for it.
Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I guess, can I get a motion to close the business portion of the meeting?
We don't need to do that.
Don't need to do that? Okay, can I get a motion to go into public comment, please?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Bruce, second by Lee. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're in the public comment. Anybody? Go ahead, Lee.
Since I've had time to think about it, and the structure was there for a year and a half-ish or whatever, do you think it would be fair if I personally write you guys a check for $175? No. Again, because it was there for a year or so, a little bit over a year.
I'll round up the 25 to 200.
I'll throw in 25.
So,
And this won't be from taxpayer money, this will be from my personal accounts.
So I love that. I guess my thought would be if we do replace it, put it back in there, and I mean, there's some long-standing projects that you guys have done. Observation deck on the north end too, wasn't it? Did you guys do that?
I believe so, yes.
Yep. For that. So I mean, it's
Steps
been,
on Plainview Road, flagpoles at Summit, outdoor classroom at Summit.
Right. So I mean, I love the work you've done, and I mean, something where you guys can enjoy that. The one caveat or potential there, you mentioned maybe putting a rail on top, just because that plywood up on side does, even treated, can delaminate, but you know that already. But maybe that with that adjustment, that improvement. But man, I'm all good. I'm good with that.
Then I guess, well, and what I would say is I would cut them the check, not have the town do it.
Right on.
Is that okay with you guys?
Do the full amount, Lee. I'll just pay you, bro.
All right, and that works. I can cut the check.
Or however you want to do it.
Just do
I'm up
whatever you guys
either
want.
way.
We are very appreciative of the gestures of everybody. Our only concern is that our cost to replace it now, just because the cost of lumber has gone up, is that it'll currently cost us $286, even though it cost us $250 originally, just because plywood prices.
Where are we at? You were going to do 225?
But again, Bob, we got to think about it like this. It still has some sort of depreciated value for it being there. So,
Got 175, 200, 225.
we're at
225.
225.
The police department union.
Okay.
Thank
you very much.
Whatever.
Thank you, everybody. We appreciate it.
We're still in public comment?
I want one more thing.
Yeah,
No,
go
this
ahead.
is probably meant for the other meeting, for the next week's meeting. I want to congratulate the winners of the election, Terry and Kelsey and everybody else. I also want to thank the residents of the town of Campbell for the honor of letting me serve you guys for the last 2 years. Per tonight, there's been some ups and downs, but it's been like that for the last 2 years. Again, I want to thank everybody for letting me serve you guys for the last 2 years.
Go ahead.
I got a question for Mitch. Where are you getting these bids from for the furnaces?
We'll get them from all area heating contractors that want to submit. This was just Carrie came out and did an assessment for us on what we would need. This wasn't, it may be their actual bid at some point, I don't know.
When you get all these bids, can I get a list? of
Yeah,
where you got it from?
We will have a list,
I
yeah.
have a prejudiced opinion on it. I'm tracing furnaces for my house.
Okay, yep. We can get you a price to look at it. I can recommend somebody to you too.
Okay, recommendations are accepted.
Go ahead, Joanne.
Back to the ash trees. We had just gotten rid of 8 ash trees in our yard. We had them chopped down, the guy cut them up in chunks, grounded out the stumps, and it was just a little over $1,000. I myself, I don't know if anybody else here agrees, that it would be a waste of money, the town's money, to have the land surveyed to find out if the ash trees are good or not. You can just look at them and see. I can give you the name of a couple of different people that are very, very reasonable on taking the trees down that took down mine.
I think the thought was so that way we could take an inventory of what we currently have on all of the right-of-ways, keep note of them, and then keep an eye on any one of them, any of the oak trees or any of the maple trees or anything. That way we could keep a running inventory. We just purchased a GIS system for maintaining roads, streets and roads and sewers and all that stuff, so we can input that for signs or whatever we want. We can also put in the trees that we currently have, so we can take inventory of that, and that's kind of part of the other reason why we wanted to have somebody come in and take inventory of the trees and what their current status was.
Well, I just myself think it's a waste of money to have it surveyed when you already know that the ash trees are going to die or probably already are dead.
Thanks, Joanne. Anybody else?
Yep.
Go ahead. Steve.
I just would like to be part of planning where you're gonna put this thing in that park. Because where you had it was not a good place to major trees.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Jolene Schindler, 822 Miller Place. Just a question on how far from the street is considered right-of-way, so do I know if that tree is my responsibility or city?
33 feet from the center line,
Typically.
typically. It may need to be surveyed to be exactly right because sometimes the streets have been moved a little bit, so.
But to Joanne's point, it may just be a conversation. Say it's partially, I know what you're saying,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But we may be able to just get to the point where like, you got an ash tree, it's kind of part in the right of way and you guys know it's bad, so.
Yeah, and that's my other question is, I have one in the front that's probably in right-of-way, and I have one in the back, that if you guys are gonna come through and, whether we hire somebody out to do this, or that the city's going to, or the town's gonna be doing it, okay, can this one be done at the same time? It's on the same property. I mean, I'm willing to pay the part for the back one, just as a, what, you're here, you're doing it. It might be less expensive for me to have this both done at the same time, to offer that to the residents.
We probably would have to work that out with whomever would be contracted out to do that. If they'd be willing to do that, if not, we'd have to see if they could go back through after they're all done and find out who would like that done or not. I
Or
agree
as they're doing it, since they're in the
I
same
agree with you,
location.
but again, it would be all up to the contractor that we would work with to do this.
As long as, if the town would be saying, hey, we have residents that may want to do this, would you be willing to do it for them as well at a reduced cost, since you're doing it for the whole town, just to help us all out? They could say ahead of time, okay, we're gonna be in your neighborhood during this time period. Do you, we see, because you can see the backyard from the road too, that you have one, are you interested in,
That's a great idea too. I think typically contractors, when they're in the area, that's when they're going to make their money if they can stay longer and do more work. So it usually works out to the benefit, or you can get a better rate. But
Which
find
is
out.
part of the reason why you have the survey done. Somebody that knows what they're looking for to come in and document and inventory every tree that needs to be done. Because you start telling them.
It's not just for what needs to be done, it would be every tree that we currently have. The real project would be for that, but it's also for us to keep inventory of all the trees that we have on there, rather than just doing the ash trees. If you're going to do one, you might as well do all of them.
DNR may have a forester that'll just.
But I'm just saying, I don't know. Are you going to get somebody that's just going to kind of be on retainer? I mean, you give them a list of 12 this month, and then you wait until you get another list of 12. Or?
I'm gonna go ahead and just skip the whole inventory. I don't care about them. I'm gonna say if we get like what they're saying, like DNR, somebody comes in and says, Red X, here's all the trees that need to be cut, and then at that point it's at the discretion to say, if it's in your property, your responsibility. Out here, it's our responsibility, and here's a schedule. I don't know.
But that's virtually exactly what I'm saying. Is that somebody that knows what they're looking for comes in and marks or inventories or whatever you want to call it, but gives you an idea that you have 125 trees that have to come down.
Okay.
Somebody has to do that.
Yep. Agree.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
I'm very happy to hear about the baseball team, but I would really like to see that park and rec department resurrected a little bit more. Doesn't have to be the full blown what it was before, but I think swimming lessons are very important, and I think the playground was a great thing for little kids. Kids that age don't go to the boys club, and the boys club costs money, but I'm just thinking there's more kids up on French Island here than you think there are, and they have nothing to do anymore unless somebody trucks them over the north side or somewhere else. I just think it's important for people that have children on French Island to have something for them to do. So I'm hoping that maybe the new board members will take that into consideration when they're thinking about it.
The biggest issue that I've been trying to get that as well, but the problem is having volunteers to help out with that. That's the part. Almost 99% of the reason why the baseball team and everything else just kind of went away was because of the volunteers, it didn't really have to do with the organizing volunteers. It had to do with the helping out with the games and with the coaching and with this and that. So it was really a volunteer issue. It wasn't a park and rec per se.
I thought it was all financial. You didn't want to spend the $20,000 to the YMCA.
That was for the YMCA, but you're talking about are you talking about having the park and rec department here in the town of Campbell remanage that again?
Well, if they could, but
Because you're
some
still
of them
spending
you would
money
need
on the
professional
wine.
people to give swimming lessons, and it's really nice to have somebody that's really in the organization of that, doing that type of thing, to professionally to do it. I mean, they're better at it than volunteers would ever be. Nothing wrong with volunteers, but swimming lessons is just one example, and the playground activities that they had. These kids are rec majors and stuff from college. They actually get college credit for doing this stuff. Each time that we sent our kids there, we paid a fee here at town hall. There was a fee structure for all that kind of stuff. You want to send your kid to swimming lessons, it costs you X amount of dollars. You want to send your kid to the playground, it costs you X amount of dollars. You want to participate in that, it costs you so much, We don't have a problem doing that. But I think you ought to put it out to the public and see if they're interested in it or not. I think there's more kids up here than you think that will nothing to do.
Well, if you're going to start a Facebook page for French Island, that would be a good place to advertise for volunteers. Because being a resident for many, many, many years here on French Island, one of the things I've noticed is that I never know what's going on. So unless everybody comes to a meeting, which they do not, who knows that you need volunteers? How do you get that out to anybody? Hey, we need volunteers for this, that, or something else. And with a Facebook page, that would be a great place to go. But then you have to let everybody know that there is a Facebook page.
What's Facebook?
The first thing you do with your Facebook page is you link it up to the police department.
She said put it on the marquee. I think that's an excellent.
And we do have a very nice website.
Yeah, I know, but I can never find it. I never can find it. That's
Campbell.org.
Yeah, no, but I never.
It's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All money spent there.
I'll look tonight, see if I can find it. But every time I wanted to, I could not. I always called Helen. I got her last name.
Vitale. Yeah.
She always told me, she said, oh, this is where you want to go. So, but I think a Facebook page is really easy, really fast, and you can just get loads of stuff on there. You can get information from the people on there. I think it's one of the best suggestions I've heard today, just to have a Facebook page. You just get it on the marquee. We now have a Facebook page and put the address there.
We have to make sure that with the Facebook, that if you don't want people commenting, that you have to take the public comments off of there. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of not things that should be on your town's Facebook page.
That's absolutely true, and we expected that with the police department. We've removed 2 comments the entire time with that Facebook page. But you do have to monitor it every day because on occasion. But honestly, we've only removed 2, and that for a police department Facebook page is remarkable. So
I'll just add that, just like the cross area alerts, I plan on limiting to no comments. People can make a comment, and it will be seen just by that page, and it won't be seen by other people if it's not appropriate. So you can also, if there's naughty words being said, you can put those in there so it'll filter it out, so they won't even be post those comments. So there's ways. Facebook is far above and beyond technology, and they have figured it out. So I think we'll be fine.
Thanks, Kelsey. Anybody else? So,
I got
Go
one.
ahead.
I'd just like to thank Bruce and Lee for their time on the board. It's been a pleasure working with them, so appreciate the work they've done.
thank you, 2 guys. It's been a fast 2 years, I'll say that. Thanks, guys. I guess we're still in public. Anybody else? Can I get a motion to close public comments?
Second.
I have a motion by Bruce, second by Lee. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion
to close?
To go into closed session.
5-minute break?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll make a motion and we have a 5-minute recess.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Motion by Lee, second by Bruce. Any further discussion? Call the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're at 5:00.
Second.
I have a motion by Bruce, second by Lee. Any further discussion? They do roll call now?
Yeah. Supervisor Weiss?
Yes.
Supervisor Becker? Chairman Schaller?
Yes.
Supervisor Bromer?
Yes.
And Supervisor Wolford?
Yes.
We be closed.
I get a motion to go back into open session?
Second.
I have a motion by Lee, second by Bruce. Any further discussion?
You didn't even beat him, Bob.
I'll call the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're in open session. Can I get discussion or action about hiring Sue part-time when Cassie's gone? Can we make a motion to do that?
Move to approve Sue Jose as our temporary for Cassie
At an hourly rate.
at an hourly rate of, what was it, 15?
I would think at least 15.
15. Did you talk to her at all?
No, I haven't talked to her at all. As far as the rate goes.
Like a maximum of 15?
I would say so, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because if, okay. I was just asking about your motion.
I know I kind of want to get it and be done, but I'll say it's up to $15 an hour.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Bob, second by Lee. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries. And so that concludes our business. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Bruce, second by Lee. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That concludes our business.
So Chad.
Well, Chad, you're off by 3 minutes.
Yeah.